Hi, I'm Matt Collins. I'd like to welcome you to Bob Weber Auto Mart on Douglas Avenue here in Racine, across from Douglas Park. We specialize in 1-year-old, low mileage, almost new cars. And if you'd like to stop by and see them, or see them on our website, bobweberautomart.com, we could save you between $5,000 and $10,000 on your next almost new car purchase.
Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies. I'm Steve Sparky Pfeiffer from Sports Radio 1250 WSSP in Milwaukee. Of course, Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times. Time to talk some Bucks basketball here. The Bucks continue to do what they do, that's lose. Now, they have had a couple of wins.
Yeah, they're not doing it as well as the Philadelphia 76ers, but they're doing it well.
And the Sixers may not win a game the rest of the year. They are doing it really all in. But from the Bucks' perspective, they signed Tony Mitchell from Alabama out of the D-League to a 10-day contract, and Tony Mitchell's getting like 2 minutes a night.
He should get like 2 seconds on this show.
I don't understand why Tony Mitchell's not playing. Why in the world is Ramon Sessions playing? Ramon Sessions.
You want Tony Mitchell to play?
I want Tony Mitchell to play 20 minutes a night.
No.
Why? Because are you trying to win?
No.
You're not trying to win?
But I'm saying there's other young guys that they need to play ahead of them. The John Hensons, the Greek Freak.
No. You're misunderstanding where I want him to play. Hold on. I want, because Mayo's not playing anyhow, so that's fine.
Who?
Right. So this is what I want. Brandon Knight and Nate Walters. That's your starting backcourt.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm on board with that.
And rotate Mitchell into the shooting guard position. I know he's a forward. I don't care. He's 6'6". I want him rotated into the guard forward. So when Walters comes out, in comes Mitchell to play the shooting guard. When Knight needs his breath and Walters comes back in, he slides over to the 2. And then when Knight comes back in, he goes back to the bench. That should be your 3-guard rotation, and Sessions should watch with O.J. Mayo. Not because Ramon did anything wrong, but because there's no need to be playing Ramon Sessions.
Ramon Sessions is part of their future, without a doubt. He's going to be their third guard next season. So why not? I mean,
because I know what he is. That's why not. We don't have a shooting guard right now.
Well, we know what Brandon Knight is as well. I mean, this Tony Mitchell is not going to factor into the Bucks next year at all. Zero.
What was the point of signing him to a 10-day contract?
They needed a roster spot filled.
They could have signed you for as much as they're playing Tony Mitchell.
That is correct. So they're giving Tony Mitchell a chance, just like they would
a chance. They're not giving him a chance. You yourself just said he's got no chance. So what chance was they giving him? They aren't.
No, but
they're using him as a body. That's all they're doing.
But I guarantee you, Ramon Sessions is part of the team now. He'll be part of the team going forward.
That's horrible news. That's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And I told John Hammond when we had John Hammond on the big show, he has no business being on this roster whatsoever. And I like Ramon Sessions. He's better than Luke Rittenauer in my opinion. So it's not a slam on Ramon Sessions talent-wise, but he's farther along in age. He doesn't fit into the core of this, I'll say championship caliber roster that I want to have in 5 years.
You can't have all 21, 22-year-old players on your team. You got to have some veterans along the way.
Philly's doing a good job.
For this season, for tanking, we'll see how that holds up next year.
They need to do the same thing.
You know how many people are showing up for Phillies game?
Don't care. I don't care if it's 5. I don't care.
But if you're an owner, you care a lot.
No, because you have revenue sharing now.
You do, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make money.
Herb Kohl's attendance is down, right?
Okay.
Is Herb Kohl's attendance down?
Yeah.
Do you realize he's going to make money now for the first time, more so than he has in like the last 5 to 10 years?
No, he made money last year already.
Okay, so 2 years in a row.
Okay, but my point
and they were horrible last year.
My point is, in Philadelphia, they're getting a couple thousand people. That's fine in Milwaukee, a small market. Sure. But if you're in a major market like Philadelphia lost money last year. They were one of 3 NBA teams that lost money. They can ill afford to have bad attendance. And I guarantee
this was an organizational decision to do it this way.
No question.
It was not the coach's decision.
And by this time next year, who knows if that GM is going to be there.
They're going to do the same thing again next year. They can't do a Michael Jordan. If they do a Michael Jordan, or if the Bucks are moronic enough, which they normally are, to do a Michael Jordan, which is, now we're going to go and try and be the 8th seed after one bad year. That's what Jordan did. Let's go sign Al Jefferson. Okay, good. So what did that get you? Al Jefferson's playing out of his mind this year in Charlotte. He's on a 2-year deal.
Right.
And they may be a playoff team this year.
Correct.
Fabulous. How did that get them to a championship state?
But
it's not.
I understand where you're coming from. But
so if the
how many young guys do you really want? They got Walters, they have Brandon Knight, they have John Henson, they have the Greek Freak.
I'll tell you who I don't want on this team next year.
That's 4 guys. They'll have that one, possibly the number 1 pick. That's 5 guys. The second-round pick will probably make it. That's 6
3
guys.
second-round picks.
Okay, but let's just go.
Let's put all 3 of them on. No, put all 3 of them on.
So all of a sudden you're up to 9. It's like, 8. Hey, or 8. Where's my calculator?
Right.
But my
So
point
you're at
is,
8. I got
how
4
many-
room for
how-
4 more guys, right?
Why do you want all young guys?
Hold on, I got 4 room for 4 more guys. I'll take Zaza back.
He's going to be on.
right?
That's 9.
Right, that's 9. I'll take Radul Letza. I'll
That's
take
10.
him back.
10.
Right?
10.
And what else? I'm
Sand-
stuck with Mayo because he's making $8 million
And you're right.
a year.
And you're stuck with Sanders.
And that's
so also-
11, and Sanders is 12. We're
Right.
done. So I don't need Ramon.
And Ramon's going to be on there.
No, I
can
can draft a guard somewhere
Yeah.
in the second
Yeah.
round to pick what Ramon is.
Oh, no.
I do not need Ramon Sessions on this team.
And you know who else you forgot? You forgot Ilyasova.
Oh, they're going to trade Ursan.
Okay, but
Ursan's not going to be.
That's fine, but then you're still bringing a player back.
Maybe.
So all of a sudden you're up to 14 guys.
That
now.
means it's one less second.
The
Either
Buck-
way, Ramon
the-
doesn't fit into
the-
my plan.
Oh, he will.
Just based on what you said. If
You
Ursan's
gotta have
back,
some
Larry's
veteran.
back, I don't need. No, I do not. I have 2 guys that are going to start in the front or in the backcourt.
Right.
I already have OJ Mayo as a third guard. I do not need Ramon Sessions. I have 2 point guards starting my backcourt as it is, and I've got a shooting guard that's going to rotate in. All I need are 3 guards.
You still need 4 guards.
Fine.
Yeah, if somebody goes down, you still need another player.
Draft Ben Bruss in the second round.
Ben-
Fine with me, and let Ben Bruss be on the bench and be a buck. I'm fine with
and
that.
not Jake Thomas? Come on.
No, definitely not Jake Thomas. Ben Bruss. That's where I'm at right now. I don't want Ramon Sessions on this team. Now,
I can tell.
enough of this whole roster manipulation thing.
So my point, though, there is the Bucks fans want a lot of change. There's not going to be a lot of change. The vast majority of players are already on this team.
Do you realize that every year in the last 10 years we've had a lot of change?
Absolutely.
So you're saying this year's going to be different?
Yeah,
For the first time since Ernie Grunfeld, we're not going to have a lot of change.
They're locked into contracts and they're locked into young guys.
You have a guy that trades more than any GM in the NBA, I think, in John Hammond.
And he might not be the GM at this time next year. In fact, I would say the odds.
No, we're talking about this offseason coming up. He's going to be the GM through this summer.
No.
You don't think he might not have a job at the end of the summer? By the end of the
There's
summer.
a strong possibility he won't.
He just gave him a 3-year extension.
That's correct. I'm just saying. That's my take on it. He might be the GM for the next 10 years, but my gut feeling is no.
If Herb Kohl fires John Hammond because of this season, Bucks fans should go, we're done. We'll follow the Bulls. We're done.
Why? I mean,
We're done. That's it. We're all done.
I mean, you
because
still,
now
you
you're
still believe
actually
that the Bucks should be bad next year. So if you bring in an incompetent GM,
no, because if Herb fires John Hammond, that means Herb's upset because they didn't compete for the 8th spot. That's what it means, which means Herb's as delusional as he's ever been in his life.
No,
and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
That's saying an awful lot for Herb to be more delusional than he normally is. and that's what we're talking about here. They better not fire John Hammond. Look, he's been horrible at trades. He's been horrible at free agency.
so wait a second.
Right.
You just threw 2 bombs. Horrible year. Horrible year.
But how
they
much?
should retain him?
But how much of that has been Herb's meddling hands? That's the problem.
That's
right.
You're right.
Okay,
That's
so
possible.
the only thing I can grade Hammond on is draft choices.
Right.
I think he's done fine. I have no issue with John's drafts, other than the normal Joe Alexander one.
They've been good. They haven't been
They're fine.
great.
They've been solid.
Yeah.
Jody Meeks is still playing in the league. Look
But-
at all
but
the draft picks.
that's-
They're all still playing.
That's
Except
not the point.
Alexander. They're all in the league and playing. Meeks is starting. Right? And Brandon
But-
Jennings, you
okay.
can hate on Brandon.
Okay.
He's starting in Detroit.
And I'm not going to nitpick here, but if you look at the draft picks, how many guys have developed into stars or really good players?
But how many guys did he miss that? But fine. But how many guys did he miss that were stars after their pick?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does,
No, it
because you
doesn't.
can only take
No.
what's there.
No,
You can only take what's there.
You don't have to. I mean,
You don't have to.
You can pat. You don't have to use the pick. You can trade the pick. You can move up and get a better player.
Now,
and those options haven't happened.
The one year,
except when they did trade it, it backfired.
Right. Now, the one year they made the trade. What was it? The Maggette trade? Was that the trade where they
For-
ended up
for
going
Clay
back
Back-
for
yeah.
Tobias
Yeah,
Harris?
that was the Maggette
okay,
trade.
so they go back and they get Tobias Harris later, and Jimmer Fredette. God, I'm glad everybody listened there and didn't take Jimmer Fredette. But you wanted Klay Thompson.
I want to Klay Thompson.
But then they would have still had Steven Jackson, right? Is that how that whole thing worked? Was Maggette before Jackson or after? I can't even remember.
Jackson came afterwards.
Afterwards. So whoever they had to get rid of,
They
had to
had
get
Brandon
Maggette.
Jennings and Klay Thompson in the backcourt. Klay Thompson and Brandon Jennings are very good friends. Their families are real tight. They could have had a backcourt for the next 6-8 years, right? Because I think Jennings would have really appreciated having Thompson come on board. They know each other well. Nah, we'll take Corey
All
Maggette.
right, I can't disagree with that. You were all over Klay Thompson when he came out. I wasn't, and I was like, we'll see. But you were right on Klay Thompson. So from that aspect, you can rip John and say, okay, that was a bad deal.
I'm just saying, I agree with you. That has been his strength.
Has been the draft.
It has been the draft. But it's got to be better. The trades, the free agent signings,
The trades and free agent signings, I don't know what he's responsible for.
You just can't take one aspect of a GM's job and say.
I can when it involves Herb Kohl, because I don't know what Herb has his hands in when he doesn't. How many times has John went to Herb and said, I want to do this, and Herb said, Or Herb said, I want to do this, and John said, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, I want to do it anyhow, so we're going to do it. I'm the owner. We don't know. Because I don't know, I can't sit here and judge John Hammond. Larry Harris, same thing. Until they get somebody in here that Herb Kohl's going to shut up with and let actually do the job, an Ernie Grunfeld, a Donnie Walsh, somebody where he respects that person enough to let them do their job, then fine, I'll sit back and shut up. But
the director of the WIA,
Dave Anderson, Deb Hauser, they're going to come in and run the Bucks front office.
Exactly. So.
Can't wait. He's Gery Woelfel. I'm Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. That's another edition of Sports Junkies arguing about Bucks basketball right here.
We've never done that.
At RacineSportsZone.com.
Pretty novel.
Ta-ta.